Great, got it.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call the Torrance March 24th, 2020 meeting to order. May we have a roll call, please?
Missing the city clerk.
We have issues.
Councilman Chen is here.
Patrick, maybe you could call the roll.
Sure, we can. We'll start with, we'll just do it in alphabetical as on the agenda, since the city clerk is apparently having microphone problems. Is Councilman Chen present?
Present.
Councilman Goodrich?
Rebecca, you're not on the call.
Councilman Goodrich? Not there. Councilman Griffiths?
Here.
Councilman Herring? Councilman Herring?
Here. Can you hear me?
I can. Councilman Matucci? Councilman Matucci? Councilman Matucci? Apparently we're having audio problems with Councilman Matucci. Is Councilman Goodrich present?
Can you hear me?
Councilman
Yes.
Goodrich.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Councilman Rizzo?
Councilman Rizzo is here.
Mayor Fury?
I'm here as well.
And I'm just waiting for sound problems with Councilman Matucci. I can see him on the video, but I cannot hear him yet. And for the record, if the clerk is listening in, we started the call to order at 5:33 p.m. And for the record, this is the City Attorney Patrick Sullivan who's taking the roll call. Do we have sound for Councilman Matucci? Councilman Matucci, are you present? Councilman Matucci, can you hear me? Apparently we're still having audio problems with Councilman Matucci. So we'll just wait a second while CIT comes in to fix that. Councilman Matucci, can you hear us? Do we have sound now for Councilman Matucci?
Here I am. I can hear you now.
Okay, so why don't we'll just do the roll call one more time to make sure everyone's sound is working. So starting with Councilmember Chen,
Present.
Councilmember Goodrich, Councilmember Goodrich, are you present?
Here.
There we go. Councilmember Griffiths? Here. Councilmember Herring? Here. There we go. Councilmember Matucci,
Here.
Councilmember Rizzo,
I think they got me.
and Mayor Fury. Mayor Fury? Can't hear you.
Here.
There we go.
Sorry, I was on.
Okay, so the roll call is all council members present.
Thank you. The council will now recess to closed session to confer with the city manager and city attorney on the agenda matters listed under 14A, conference with legal counsel, threat to public services or facilities. 14B, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation. 14C, conference with labor negotiator. And 14D, real property, conference with real property negotiator. The closed session on these matters is authorized by California Government Code Sections 54957, 54956.9D2, 54957.6, and 54956.8. We will return at 7 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to stop the live stream now.
Can't hear you.
Ram, can I reclaim host so that I can bring up the slide? You got it.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Torrance City Council meeting. We've actually been in an executive session. Mr. Jackson, is there anything to report?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. Tonight, the Torrance City Council is conducting our council meeting under a national, state, and city state of emergency. Our council meeting will be conducted in a video telephonic conference. The council members will interact through a conference interface. This procedure is in conformance with Governor of California's Executive Order N-29-20, which suspended provisions of the Brown Act relating to meetings by teleconferences or other electronic meetings. The executive order requires that members of the public are allowed to observe and address the meeting telephonically or otherwise electronically. The city of Torrance is allowing small comment prior to the meeting and is allowing the public to comment telephonically during the city council meeting. This email address and the telephone number for public comment are listed on the agenda. To the city clerk, have any emails received before 4 p.m. on this date been processed as attachments and transmitted to the members of the city council?
Yes, Your Honor, they have.
We always begin our meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance and a non-sectarian invocation. In this time of emergency, it's no different. We believe it is even more important to remember our nation and flag. Please rise for a flag salute led by Councilmember Herring, followed by a non-sectarian invocation by Councilmember Matucci. Thank you.
Hey, you push the flag. Councilman Harry, give it up. Yourselves up.
Let me. Yeah, it should be up. Yeah. It's the only video title on here. Yeah.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Please place your hand over your heart. Let us begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Lord, it is during these trying times that a community must come together. If there is anything that I have learned from all of this, is that the people of Torrance are strong. They are resilient, they are loving, they are caring, and most of all, they are united. During these last few weeks, I have seen our city fall to its knees, not because of weakness, but to pick up the pieces and start reassembling this machine many of us call home. We pray for our nurses and doctors, our scientists, our first responders, and all of those on the front lines. They have all shown great courage, and without them, we would have nothing. I trust in God, I trust in our people, and I trust that we will emerge stronger than ever before. May the Lord shine a light of hope for the whole world. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. I'll take the report of the city clerk on the posting of the agenda.
Your Honor, this agenda was posted on Friday, March 20th.
Thank you. I'll take a motion to waive further reading of resolutions or ordinances after number and title.
So moved.
Second.
May we have a roll call, please?
Yes, Your Honor. Councilmember Chen,
Yes.
Councilmember Goodrich,
Aye.
Councilmember Griffith,
Yes.
Councilmember Herring, Councilmember Herring,
One moment, please, Rebecca. Let me unmute everyone.
You are unmuted.
Let me unmute everyone. Unmute everyone. Unmute everyone. Unmute everyone.
Councilmember Herring,
Yes.
Councilmember Matucci, Councilmember Matucci,
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzo,
Yes.
Mayor Fury. Mayor Fury?
Somebody's got me muted. Thank you. I answered yes.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Announcement of withdrawn, deferred, and/or supplemental items.
Yes, Your Honor. This is City Manager Jackson. By public order number 2020-4, issued on March 24, 2020, pursuant to the declared local emergency, the city manager has continued 2 advertised public hearings for tonight's city council meeting. These were community development, consider appeal of planning commission denial of a conditional use permit to allow for a 48-unit townhouse development that involved construction of multiple ownership residential structures, buildings more than 2 stories in height, and development that exceeded a 6.6 to 1 floor area ratio in conjunction with a conditional use permit to allow an existing church use, a waiver of height limit for the existing church sanctuary, tentative track map for condominiums, merger and re-subdivision purposes, and a zone change from A1R2 zone to the R3 zone on property located in the A1R2 zone at 2706 182nd Street, and CUP 190031 CUP 19-00032, Waiver 20-00002, Division 19-00010, Zone 19-00002, Storm Properties, Christ the King Lutheran Church. Community Development, consider appeal of Planning Commission approval of a conditional use permit to allow replacement of existing service station mini mart with a new 2,600 square foot retail store. Consider the retail sale of beer and wine for off-site consumption on property located in the C2 zone at 3975 190th Street, CUP 19-00020, Joe Judge. The public order has carried all hearings over until the conclusion of the declared emergency. The city manager has taken this action because of the difficulties of achieving a full hearing with the prohibition imposed on all public and private meeting gatherings, and the difficulty of obtaining public input by telephone or other electronic means. There were 4 emails received prior to 4 o'clock today, which include 2 for item 9C, 1 for item 9D, and 1 oral communication comment. These supplemental materials are available to the public. That concludes it, Your Honor. Oops. Mayor is muted.
I'm sorry, this is the time for council committee meetings and announcements. Although there are many things that are occurring right now that are very important, once a decade, the nation comes together to participate in the decennial census, creating national awareness of the census and statistics. This census provides the basis for reapportioning congressional seats, redistricting, and distributing billions of dollars in federal funding to support your state, county, and community's vital programs. Every 10 years, the United States counts everyone living in the country on April 1st. No matter where you are from, what language you speak, or why you are in the country, the count includes children and newborn babies, citizens and non-citizens, and temporary residents. Our community relies on census statistics for a variety of needs, including new roads, schools, and emergency services. Most of you have already received the 2020 census questionnaire
Enter your meeting
on March
ID
12th.
followed by pound.
You can respond to the census by answering a handful of questions online, by phone, or by mail. As a community, let's take part in this effort to ensure a complete and accurate count. The
Enter
next
your
item on the
participant
agenda.
ID followed by pound. Otherwise, just press pound to continue. You are in the meeting now. There are more than 20 participants in the meeting. This meeting is being recorded. You are muted. You can mute or unmute yourself by pressing *6.
There are no community matters. There are no consent calendar items. Because of the challenges of this video and telephonic meeting, and I'm sure you're aware of it right now, I'm going to modify the order that we take matters up this evening. I'm going to move public comment about agenda items to prior to item number 9, administrative matters. All comment on agenda items 9A, 9B, 9C, and 9D will be done at this time. The public will have the opportunity to address us, tell us their comments, and then when we get to that item, we will address those items. There will be no public comment during the actual agenda item. This complies with the Government Code Section 54954.3A that requires the City Council to allow public comment before or during consideration of an item. Depending on the number of callers on the telephone, I may limit the total amount of time allowed on an item or per speaker. Government Code Section 54954.3B1 allows the City Council to limit the total amount of time on each agenda item and for each individual speaker. There is now a 30-minute time for oral comments related only to the agenda items to be acted upon tonight. That's 9A, B, C, or D. Orals not related to items on the agenda shall be heard at the end of the meeting. When your call is forwarded to the City Council, please state who is calling and what item or items you are addressing. You are limited to 3 minutes, and orals that do not relate to the agenda item will be advised to call back at the end of the meeting, and the call will be terminated. I also understand that the calls are limited to 3 minutes, and you will be terminated if you attempt to go longer than that. So do we have anybody who has called in? I take that as a
Caller,
no.
you were on the line. Caller, you are on the line.
May I speak now?
Yes.
My name is Bill Fleischman, and am I broadcasting live to the council because I don't have you on Facebook here?
Yes,
Is
you
it-
are.
Is this a public comment?
Yes, and I wanted to comment on Public Order 2020-2. Is that appropriate at this time?
Yes, it is.
Good. Again, my name is Bill Fleischman. I spoke with Eli Jackson earlier in the week. We have the Rhodium Open Air Market, and I wanted to check in with you guys tonight and let you know that we have 15 acres available for public use. If, for example, the city needs something for testing, virus testing, we're not using the swap meet now, obviously, so it's available for that purpose. Also, if there's any thoughts about a food bank or something to assist, we'd like to make our property available to you guys. Just give us a notice, we'll set it up for you.
Thank you, Mr. Fleischman. If you can give us a call offline here, and we'll get the information so that we can get your assistance from you. We'd certainly appreciate that.
My pleasure. You mentioned Leroy also. When it's appropriate, we would like to be able to show drive-in movies to folks that are cooped up in their house all day. No charge, just on the house by us if it's something that. Well,
Mayor?
Right now it's not.
Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Jackson.
The recent executive order by the governor covering types of businesses that we can allow to operate excludes drive-in theaters as a specific item. Unfortunately,
I know that. I
it's a
know,
nice
Mr.
suggestion.
Hopefully we'll change it over time, and if we can assist in that way, we'd like to offer that service. We just started showing films again last summer, and it worked out really well. It'd be available for the public without charge.
Thank you. Is there anything else?
No, that's it. I'll check in then with Leroy later in the week to give them all the information that's following.
Okay. Meantime, stay safe.
You too. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Anybody else signed up?
Katie, can you hear us? Do we have any
Is
other
there any call?
call-in line?
I can hear you, Aram. This is Katie Wan, City Manager's office. I do not have any more calls on the line, no.
Okay, if there is no other calls on the line, then we'll move on to 9A. 9A is, and let me give you the numbers on this. Again, well, I think we're going to go to the very end, and then we'll have public comment on, not on the agenda. So 9A is from Public Works to approve categorical exemption on the California Environmental Quality Act and award agreements for miscellaneous water main replacements. I-153, that's the Sky Park Drive and Artesia Boulevard Alley. Expenditures is $1.4 million, non-general funds. And staff, do we have a presentation?
Craig, are you on the line?
Mayor, we'd be available for any questions. I think the item covers the facts.
Well, I think an explanation of of what the projects are would be appropriate for the public to hear. And
Craig,
in essence, the Public Works Director is asking that the City Council determine that the approval of miscellaneous water main replacements, I-153, is categorically exempt from the environmental review pursuant to Section 15301B and Section 15301C of the guidelines implementing California Environmental Quality Act.
You on mute?
They're also asking to approve the plans and specifications for the miscellaneous water main replacements. That's at Sky Park Drive and Artesia Boulevard Alley. And then thirdly, they would like us to award a public works agreement to PALP Inc., doing business as Excel Paving Company of Long Beach, California, in the amount of $1.335.533 million, and authorizing a 5% contingency in the amount of $66,777 to construct miscellaneous water main replacement. Does the council have any questions or comments? I see none, so then Councilmember Griffin. You have to unmute your phone.
Can you hear me now? I have two questions. Can you hear me now?
Yes, Councilman Bond, I can hear you.
Two questions for staff. The alley behind Artesia Boulevard, will that alley be repaved or just patched as part of this project?
This is Arab Chaparian. I have Craig on the line. Go ahead, Craig.
Good evening here, everyone. Craig Belazarian from Public Works. The alley will be repaved after the water line is constructed.
Thank you very much. And then the second question I had is on the 234th Street. Is that city-owned street or is that private property?
That's actually a city easement. And so we've had some trouble with some main breaks in the past, and that's why we'll be doing the repair.
I'm sorry, so that's an easement, but it's not city-owned?
That is correct.
The echo is really horrible. I'm having a really hard time hearing you.
He says it is an easement, Councilman.
Okay, thank you very much.
Can everyone please mute your mics if you're not speaking? We appreciate that very much. It'll help reduce the echoing. Thank you. Craig's on the line.
Are there any other questions? Seeing none, I'll take a motion to approve. All three items?
Mike Griffiths to concur with staff recommendation.
Relio Matucci, second.
May we have a roll call, please?
Yes, Your Honor. Councilmember Chin?
Yes.
Councilmember Goodrich?
Aye.
Councilmember Griffiths?
Yes.
Councilmember Herring?
Yes.
Councilmember Matucci?
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzo?
Yes.
Mayor Fury?
Yes.
That motion carried unanimously.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is item 9B, also from Public Works, to approve a project, appropriate funds, and approve cost-sharing memorandum of understanding for Beach City's Green Streets project. Expenditure is none. Hopefully we have our Public Works Director available.
Mayor, can I interrupt you for one moment? This is on City Manager's office. For awareness, Mayor, as you want to handle this, I have someone on the line who was transferred late who wants to comment on item 9C. So if you could just direct me when you'd like me to phone him in, that would be great. Thank you.
On this item right now.
I believe it's item 9 on what I'm told, but the comment portion for items on the agenda has already passed, so I'm asking for direction on how to handle this.
Yeah, we can take it. I mean, somebody called in. Sure.
Great, thank you. I'm going to put him on now.
Thank
Sir,
you.
caller, you are. Sir, caller, you are on the line.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Can you please start speaking?
Yes, definitely. My name is David Moore. I'm a resident here of the city of Torrance. I'd like to begin by first saying thank you to those city council members and the city attorney, Mr. Sullivan, for responding back to an email that I had sent all of you, including the mayor, regarding this item 9C, which specifically addresses the temporary ban for providing some relief to renters and mortgage holders here in the city of Torrance. A ban that I would really like to see extended beyond the March 31st deadline date that's posted on the website to perhaps May 31st of 2020, giving protections to the renters and the mortgage holders here in the city, of course, protections against evictions. As I'm sure most of you are aware, as I hope all of you are aware, you know, there's a lot of people out of work, including myself, and I've been out of work for almost a month now, and you know, trying to figure out, like so many Americans are, you know, what the heck is going on and how we're going to pay our bills, etc. And so I reached out to all of you, and I really appreciate you getting back with me. So at tonight's council meeting, in short, what I would please ask all of you to do on behalf of all of us renters and mortgage holders here in this great city of Torrance, where we live, giving us the same afforded, you know, benefits that other, you know, residents in other cities, like just next door to us over here in Redondo Beach, up in Burbank, the county of Los Angeles and unincorporated areas, the city of Los Angeles, all of those people have, and many more, close to us and across the nation, have that peace of mind that they can't be evicted, they can't be, you know, foreclosed on, you know, up and through like maybe May 31st, 2020, as indicated in their, you know, their temporary ban. So I would ask, in short, to enact a definitive ban that explicitly prohibits both no-fault and at-fault evictions, late fees, and a pause on rent increases through at least May 31, 2020, effective immediately, and also add a provision to the ban that includes the following provision, which renters shall have up to 6 months after May 31, 2020 to pay back any rent owed for non-payment of rent to loss of household income caused by the coronavirus pandemic. And that would be my request. And like I said earlier here in this conversation I'm having with you, this has already been afforded to other residents of other cities and county, you know, residents, both renters and mortgage holders. And I would like to see it happen for those of us in our great city of Torrance. With that, I close and I say thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. When we get to 9C, that will certainly be some of the thoughts that we'll be considering.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Okay. Now I'm going to go back to 9B, which I thought we were going to do. That's from Public Works to approve the project, appropriate funds, approve cost-sharing memorandum of understanding for Beach City's Green Streets project. And Mr. Belgerian, you available now?
Yes, he is, Mayor. Go ahead, Craig.
Thank you, Your Honor. Craig Belazarian from Public Works. This item 9B is asking council to do 5 things, and I'll briefly read them. The first is to approve a Beach Cities Green Streets project as part of our adopted capital budget. Second is to approve a cost-sharing MOU with the cities of Torrance, Hermosa Beach, Manhattan Beach, and Redondo Beach, collectively known as the Beach Cities, and that's to provide design services for the project. Upon execution of the MOU by the Beach Cities, we would accept a total of $412,500 of local matching funds, and that would be $137,500 from each city. Torrance would also appropriate $137,500 for the project from our sewer enterprise fund. And then upon the execution of a state coastal conservancy and Santa Monica Bay Restoration Commission grant agreement, we would appropriate $2 million to the project for a total of 2.550,000. Essentially, this item is a follow-up to an approval that the council did in October of 2019, enter into a grant agreement with these cities that's going to help us achieve our stormwater compliance and reducing stormwater runoff and contamination to the ocean related to the Santa Monica Bay watershed. There's a map with the item. It's in the northern part of the city by El Nido Park and some streets. And this is a good thing for the city and its partnering cities. I'm available for questions.
Thank you, Craig. Are there any questions from the council? I think we all understand the importance of what this project is, and since we've received no prior questions from the public, I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the Beach Cities Green Streets project and cost-sharing MOU.
So moved.
Second.
May we have a roll call, please?
Yes, Your Honor, could I have the motion makers please state their name?
Councilman Rizzo.
Goodrich is second.
Thank you. Now for the vote, Councilmember Chin,
Yes.
Councilmember Goodrich,
Aye.
Councilmember Griffiths,
Yes.
Councilmember Herring,
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzo,
Yes.
Mayor Fury.
Yes, it's hard to compete with Councilmember Herring. When he says yes, he really means it.
Your Honor, that motion carried unanimously.
I believe you
Thank
skipped.
you. The next item on the agenda is item 9C, from the city manager and fire to update on the COVID-19 pandemic. Councilmember, Mr. Jackson?
Thank you, Your Honor. These have been some dramatic and remarkable weeks for the city of Torrance. Our city and our organization have had to deal with two crisis situations in short order. Our city has spent several weeks recovering from a cybersecurity incident that limited access to computer systems and emails. This created disruption of many of the processes in the city and took us offline for our city webpage and our city cable. The city staff has been able to restructure our operations through the dedicated efforts of our data staff and all our city employees. As we are resolving these problems, the COVID-19 emergency emerged. The city manager declared a city emergency on March 12, 2020, which the city council confirmed on March 16, 2020. The city has taken extraordinary actions in order to protect our citizens, maintain critical services, and provide for our employees. Our emergency operations team will now review what steps we have taken, where the state of the city is now, and the plans and steps we have for the future. And to our staff.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. This is Adam Chaparian, Assistant City Manager, also acting in the capacity of EOC Director. Before I begin, I want to thank our staff, A Shift, B Shift, both our police, fire chief, and all the city employees, the community, for their understanding during this difficult and very difficult time. The goal tonight is to walk you through our efforts, to give a brief overview by our fire chief, Martin Cerna, our police chief, Eve Berg, and also give you a sense of the next few weeks and a month ahead. With that, I will walk you through and bear with me, the slides are having a little bit of a lag given the utilization of Facebook and Zoom by many communities tonight. I'd like to walk you through very quickly the events that led up to tonight. So on March 4th, LA County Department of Health declared a local health emergency that was followed on the 12th by our city manager, Mr. Jackson, who proclaimed an existence of a local emergency. Mind you, I also want to thank Patrick Sullivan and his team for all the efforts in drafting and presenting these items for your honorable body's consideration and approval. March 13th, President Trump declared a national emergency. On the 16th, your honorable body convened an emergency meeting, and at that meeting, you ratified the local emergency that was declared by the city manager. By doing so, we were able to prohibit in-restaurant dining, only limit those options to takeout, as well as the closure of bars, fitness centers, theaters. On March 18th, the city manager issued additional directives, which included the closure of swap meets, indoor shopping centers, and other areas of mass gathering. And I must mention, when the COVID-19 directive started, you had heard numbers such as 250 or more gatherings, down to 50 or more, down to 10 or more, and today we stand stay at home, safe orders. which was issued by the state and the county of LA on March 19th with safe orders. With that, I'd like to cover some of the additional efforts to date. We have implemented all the state, county, and executive orders. TFD has implemented a one officer unit to be able to provide greater coverage in the community as businesses have closed their doors and there's a greater need for coverage and awareness by our police. We have modified the farmers market. We initially closed on that first Tuesday. However, thanks to our community services team and their flexible, creative crowd control to ensure safe protocols, safe distance protocols, we're able to open up on Saturday. And we had social distancing in place to ensure that there was 6 feet gap of the patrons. And a sincere thanks to all the residents and visitors who were able to abide by those orders. We were able to serve 1,500 individuals and I think over 40 vendors, which helped alleviate some of the pressure on our grocery chains, which I'm sure we'll cover further. Transit Department modified the Saturday schedule. And as of last night, City Manager approved a free rides rear boarding process, which similar to other local municipal bus operators allows us the opportunity to provide essential public service to the transit dependent community. At the same time, maintain the 6-foot social distancing protocols to ensure operator and patron safety. We did transfer $5 million from the Economic Reserve Fund to assist in the city's flow during this time. It's with a heavy heart that we announced the cancellation of the Armed Forces Day Parade. However, the Pentagon's focus in the military branch right now is on COVID-19 response, and we just couldn't get the planning in place for the mid-March event. We had to postpone and cancel all the city commission and committee meetings. As you can see, we're adjusting to the teleconference platform. However, given the accumulation of events, we were forced, in a sense, to postpone those meetings. We may reconvene once we hopefully come out of this incident. The same goes for the Cultural Arts Event Center, postpone and cancellation of events. And then several temporary suspensions were put in place, including permit parking, as individuals were told to stay home. We had an influx of vehicles. We didn't want to issue citations. Street sweeping has also been temporarily suspended. We have also, through the efforts of our community development team, and thank you to Danny Santana and his staff for working so diligently to get the word out in coordination with our fire prevention officers, grocery store signage and parking lot staging. With the social distancing protocols, we want to make sure patrons waiting in line also exercise a 6-foot distancing, which will help alleviate the spread of the COVID-19. In addition, we've also expanded the temporary suspension of the rules to the hospital and the parking lots as they're staging for influx of individuals. Our EOC is really based on emergency operations model. Incident management is based on these strategic goals. Number one is life safety, city stabilization, property and quality of life conservation, and as we've been managing this incident now into the 3rd week, agility, which is really thinking outside the box, finding creative solutions, asking how can we help serve our residents, our businesses, our visitors in the Torrance community. And by doing so, we're able to come up with some creative solutions. With that, as of today, these numbers are not news to anybody who's been watching the news channel and following the Torrance alerts. Again, Michael Smith and his team, our ICOs, are working around the clock to push out Torrance alerts every day at 4 o'clock. Every chance I get, I'm going to plug that. As of today, the LA Department County of Health, who's taken the lead role in the health component of this disaster, is really announced 120 new cases in LA County, which is now up to 662 cases. 128, was announced today. 662 cases across all of LA County. Sad to report, we've had 11 deaths, as well as 5 cases reported in Torrance. Next, I'm going to share a couple of the resources that we've been following, the LA County Department of Health website. These are the latest numbers as of yesterday. We encourage the public to visit the LA County Department of Health to learn more about the coronavirus, COVID-19. And as you can see, the distribution of age is across all demographics, not just the 65 and elderly or individuals with underlying health issues as initially reported. We're learning more each day. We are also sharing resources from the Centers for Disease Control, and they have a dedicated website which talks about social distancing, symptoms, how to take care of yourself at home should you or a loved one be diagnosed or tested for COVID-19, and measures you can take to protect yourself and the public. And at the city of Torrance, we have instituted a 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. effort where we wipe down our workspace to ensure the city staff is in prime health condition, since we have, as defined by the federal infrastructure guidelines, the city staff are deemed as essential public employees, and we want to make sure we have a healthy staff to be able to serve. With that, we have started a 7-day emergency operations. We are not physically meeting. That's for the preservation of staff and to limit the exposure to the COVID-19. We are utilizing the same platform that you're seeing now on Zoom and Slack for the sharing of communication through our emergency operations. We have a Monday to Friday, and when I say 24/7, we literally are checking our emails and calling and emailing throughout the day, and I'm sure some of you have received messages as early as 3 a.m. We have the B shift that takes over, and we also have a transition awareness throughout the weekend, between both shifts. And mind you, our first responders are always available, and we are fully staffed to respond to our 911 calls, even with our cyber incident. We have a daily all department head meeting at 5 o'clock, again, utilizing Zoom. And we have our EOC meetings at 10 a.m. And these protocols of social distancing has given us the opportunity to maintain continuity of operations while retaining our distance. The sections are the management section, operations, law, planning, finance, statistics, and all city employees are divvied up into these sections, and they're ready and available to assist in the incident. With this, we also have our regional partners, which include county, state, and federal. We're working with our area hospitals, Torrance Memorial, the Company of Mary Providence, Torrance Unified, community organizations, including the Chamber, our faith-based organizations, as well as FEMA, California Office of Emergency Services, and then the LA County Office of Emergency Management. And all the technical guidance is under the supervision of our city's Office of Emergency Services and Chief Tomei and Jeffrey Stoddy. Thank them for their efforts in moving us along in this direction. Lots of outreach back to Michael Smith, Jamie, and our ICOs. Sincere thanks. The amount of information we've been able to generate, I think, is paramount to be able to give the community a sense of comfort and awareness, and also bring the message home about safe distancing, continued operations. We are open to a degree, close to the public, but our message is Torrance cares, our city, your home. Stay home, stay safe, and let us cover the essential functions of the city. On Sunday, we published a full-page ad in the Daily Breeze to launch the Torrance City Cares campaign initiative. And you will notice if you follow us on any of the social media outlets, we have been adding content throughout the week. And these pictures, we also thank you to council and mayor, recorded individual messages to the community, and we'll be asking you to record additional public service announcements. Mayor also did a public service announcement to the community. Some of the additional efforts include, you can never go wrong without putting a K9. This is Gero, our K9 unit, guarding Torrance, downtown Torrance during this emergency. We have also reached out to the grocers. We wanted to obtain, like many communities, their hours. They are extending courtesy hours for the seniors, and we have posted that information online. We are also partnering with our Chamber of Commerce to push out their information, such as various restaurants who no longer have in-room dining to be able to provide go services, the pickup services. And some of them have gone as far as creating packages. For example, Lazy Dog, you could buy prepackaged essentials, milk, butter, bread, and some poultry, as well as I think norms and others, which we'll keep publishing on our website. Okay, I think I spoke enough. I'm going to turn it over to Chief Cerna, who will give us a situational update from Fire Department. Cerna.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Thank you, Ram. I'd like to take some time to just give you an overview of what our efforts in the fire department as well as the city. This has truly been a dynamic situation, but I can assure you that it's been a team effort. There's been a lot of moving parts, a lot of change, but we've been tracking this incident or this crisis back in January, and we've been tracking it, and we're well prepared. And you'll see some of those data points as we present tonight. Next slide. So just to kind of give you an overview of what we've been able to accomplish and what we've done here in the Torrance Fire Department. We have adjusted our response model, and we're calling it all in, model one in, all out approach. And the goal is to preserve our personal protective equipment. And what we're doing is, if you are in the community, you'll see one firefighter paramedic that would go inside the location or the house, make contact with the patient, get a quick patient assessment to ensure that there are no potential exposures to COVID-19. Once they've made that initial patient assessment, the rest of the responders, the paramedic units will come in and assist that initial paramedic. Here in the department, we established what we call a Department Operations Center, or a DOC, with daily briefings every day at 6 o'clock. We adjusted our dispatch model where the reporting party or anybody calling 911, our dispatchers, our public safety dispatchers, will get a phone number so that our responding units can actually make contact prior to arriving on scene with the reporting party, just to kind of get a better assessment of the signs and symptoms or the call nature of the reason why we're responding. We also host daily briefings at our local hospitals. You can just go back one more, just a little bit, Ram. And then one area I just wanted to establish with that regional group we established a regional group with all our area partners in the fire department, with the goal really is to establish best practices. This has been such a dynamic situation. We haven't had a chance to connect, but we also recognize that there are some best practices out there in other regional partners, even outside our region, and we've been able to implement that. So we've established that group just so that we can kind of share best practices. Next. And this is going to give some of our data points. Go ahead. We wanted to, again, capture the overall view of what's going on in the entire world and related to this pandemic. You can see the death rate worldwide is 4.45. Current case count, as you can see, is there, and the numbers are pretty self-explanatory. Next slide. We wanted to bring it here locally. You saw the graph there on the left is where we were yesterday. You can see, and you've heard that spike that you've been hearing in the media and other outlets. You can see that steady climb moving forward. Again, next slide. So again, you can see that spike that you've been hearing in the media and other outlets and other community leaders. And really our goal when we talked about trying to flatten that curve, we want to keep track of what that looks like, and hopefully we can have good practices to try and flatten that curve. So this is just an overview of those daily cases that we're watching throughout the United States. Next slide. This is just an overview of the unfortunate circumstances of this virus. Next slide. And these are the local cases, just another data set that we're analyzing and keeping track of. Here locally, these are the updated numbers as of 12 p.m. today. Again, you can see that steady climb from yesterday at 536 positive cases to our current number of 662. Unfortunately, the number of deaths also increased. Next slide. So here what we're trying to do is we're tracking our number of patients transported on a day-to-day 24-hour period. Three major hospitals that we respond to is Harbor General, Little Company Mary, and Torrance Memorial. The reason why we're tracking this is if we're seeing some trends in local hospitals, we may have to divert our resources to another location. So it's very critical that we track this as well to ensure that we're supporting our local hospitals so that we don't inundate them with calls or incidents, patients. Next slide. Currently, it'll be reported in the Daily Breeze tomorrow. We have 5 fire department employees that self-quarantined. They called in as per protocol, LA County policy. They were not here on duty, but they did the right thing is what is being required from public health is when you exhibit any sort of signs, flu-like symptoms or a cold, you're required to self-quarantine and stay at home, which is being shared throughout the community. Currently, we are forward planning. We are exploring alternative staffing models. Again, we want to be forward-leaning. In the event we do have that surge, we want to ensure that we have models in place to ensure that we have the appropriate resources to address that surge. And currently, we're utilizing personnel in multiple levels. We've reassigned some of our firefighters to administrative duties. And they're not administrative duties, so to speak, in the sense that they're really what they're doing is they're analyzing the data that we've just shared with you. So that's some of the administrative responsibilities. We've reassigned some of our firefighters and personnel. Next slide. So one of the other data checks that we recognize, and it's across the region. We've spoken to our regional partners. Our call volume is actually going down, which is a good thing because our residents are recognizing that if they don't need to utilize 911 right now, our average call volume per shift is 24-hour period is about 50. You can see our call volume is actually trending downward, which is a good thing, and as I mentioned, because we're hoping that our residents are recognizing that if they have mild type symptoms, it's okay to stay home, and that's what our public health professionals LA County Public Health are recommending. So we're tracking that, and if we see an increase in this graph, we are developing models. We actually have models in place now to ensure that we are prepared to meet our mission goals. Next slide. And this is just another illustration of our call volume. You see that chart there in the middle. What we've done, starting as soon as Mr. Jackson declared a localized emergency, we began tracking COVID-type calls that we're responding to, and that is somebody who's calling in expressing respiratory-type illness or flu-like type symptoms. Next slide. And this is just another graph. We did see a slight peak right there on March 18th. We have the star there because our folks were putting on PPE. But again, this has been such a dynamic incident. It took a while for us to provide some education to even our first responders on how to address this. As you can see, we trended downwards based on some of those policies that we've implemented. That one-in, all-out policy is a good indicator as to our first responders are responding appropriately. Next slide. And this is just a graph, just kind of an overview of what's going on in the here locally, as well as the entire South Bay. You see the numbers down there towards the middle there. Possible incidents are highlighted in the blue graph. Total provider screens means what we've after we respond on scene, if we identified a potential patient who may be experiencing a COVID type situation or signs and symptoms. And you can see a total of 157 since we've been tracking this matrix back on March 13th. Next slide. Again, this is just an overview of this slide. It was last updated March 22nd. We do have an update in regards to patients in our local hospitals. Up to date, we have a total of 49 patients that have tested positive for COVID-19. But I want to reassure you that doesn't mean that these patients, although they've tested positive, they are not hospitalized. They've gone to one of our local medical facilities, received the test, and the test has come back positive. Next slide. That concludes the fire department's briefing. I'll hand it over to Police Chief Berg.
Chief, 1 second, we're trying to unmute you. Chief Berg, can you hear me? Chief Berg?
I'm gonna call her.
Okay, we're going to call Chief Berg. Hang tight, Chief Berg. Thank you. We're having audio issues, but she'll be on with us.
I'm gonna bring you over. Can you mute your computer in the background, please? Chief, can you please mute your computer in the background, and then I'm gonna hold your phone up to Aram's laptop. Okay. Whatever noise is in the background, can you turn it off? Can you hear me?
I can't hear.
Yes, I can hear you. I'm gonna walk you over to the laptop now.
Sorry. We'll try to bring her back. Try from your office. We're going to try another office. Sorry, folks watching. We're having a little bit of technical difficulty, but we're almost there. And we did test this prior to the meeting. Like I said, there are many people using the circuits, and it's giving us some technical difficulties. Chief Berg, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead, Chief Berg.
Okay, if you go to the next slide, please.
Give me 1 second, please.
One before that. Thank you. So we are continuing to provide public service to our community. Is there an echo?
Yeah.
Back to Chief Berg in a moment. If that's okay, Chief.
Aram, I think she's on.
Chief?
Yes.
We're going to try another option, so bear with us, please. I'll go back to the prior slide. Again, please sign up for Torrance alerts, and we'll give you the website on the end of the slide, and we'll have these slides available for the public as well.
Aram, I have Chief Berg on the phone.
Thank you, Viet. Chief Berg, you're online.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So the Torrance Police Department, you can go back one slide. We'll go forward one slide, excuse me. So we continue to provide the highest level of public safety to our community during these unprecedented times. Mutual aid agreements are in place with neighboring police agencies, and we are in constant contact with all South Bay agencies as well as all LA County law enforcement agencies. We're still maintaining 3 patrol shifts daily with the same staffing levels, which means there's no change to the field personnel daily deployment. And we're still able to answer all of the essential calls for service. That has never been an issue. We've been able to answer all emergency and essential calls for service. We've been doing this while receiving calls daily related to complaints of potential non-essential businesses being open after the governor delivered the directive. To practice social distancing, police officers are assigned to single officer units now. The only exception are when they are training units. There are 2 officers in those units. So we don't have 2 officers in units. You might notice more police cars in the area. That's just because we have single unit officers. Our public counter, the lobby, if you will, is closed unless there's a specific need, and that is all conveyed to a call taker And if there is a need to allow someone into the lobby to conduct business, we are prepared to do that. We're taking certain crime reports via the telephone, and those are traffic collision reports with no injuries. Those we refer to them as property damage only. I've been taking other crime reports where there's no suspect at the scene, there are no workable leads. That is from Monday through Friday from 8 to 4 p.m. However, we still take reports on other times out in the field outside of those hours. We've changed some of our internal response protocols when responding to certain calls and social distancing, which means we're trying to remain 6 feet away from individuals. We have been monitoring Sam's Club and Costco and some of the big box stores for any issues that they may have that arisen from purchasing. In keeping in line with the city's directive, we have temporarily suspended enforcement of street sweeping, residential permits, and oversized vehicle parking. We canceled all department training through May 23rd, and that can always be revisited and extended. And that's because we need officers here for the needs of our community. We're partnering with the Community Development Department for enforcement related to the governor's COVID-19 directive. And this is for businesses not complying with the governor's directive and or maybe they're unsure. So we are working with the Community Development Department. We've suspended community type activities such as station tours, ride-alongs, all-station volunteer services, partners in policing, teams in policing, coffee with a cop, tip a cop. And I want to address a rumor that has been going around in regard to the Torrance Police Department stopping people in asking them where they're going and then issuing tickets. That is absolutely incorrect. They are not stopping anybody solely based on COVID-19 responses, and we're not asking anybody where they are going, and we have not issued any tickets. I know that has been a lot on social media. That is not occurring. People are still allowed to go about their business. There is no curfew in progress, which means there is no reason for us to stop people at certain times just to ask questions of where they are. We're still providing services to our community, and in closing, I just want to say we'll continue to provide the highest level of service, public service to our community during these challenging times, and we will continue to take all precautions necessary to ensure the health and safety of not only our community, but our employees as well. And that is the end of my report.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate that very much. We'll have an opportunity at the end to open up for questions by council. Any comments? As I mentioned earlier in the discussion, we'll have a 1-month outlook. And the key point here to emphasize is safer at home. We cannot go to the beach or go to the parks or have gatherings. It is all temporary, but we're asking the public and the community to please stay home, practice social distancing, and only engage in essential operations, shopping for essential items. If you can help your elderly neighbors, avoid them going to the grocery stores, doctor's visits, unless essential to visit. Most schools are now closed. So please, please, please take this warning and stay home. The sooner we can level the curve, the sooner we'll be out of this emergency. We will continue to do our part with public outreach. We will continue to support our businesses and the education community. We are looking at ways to help the seniors and the special needs community through a city delivery program to connect care packages to our seniors and working through our nonprofit organizations and available city staff. We also will maintain employee health and safety and adjust our operations to ensure readiness. With that, there's several ways for the public to stay informed. We do have a temporary website, cityoftorranceca.com. You're also welcome to call the city manager's office at 310-618-5880. Please sign up for Torrance alerts if you have not done so already. We are sending out daily alerts at 4 p.m. and the link is torranceca.gov, Torrance alerts. In closing, I just want to thank our Torrance residents, businesses, and employees, city employees, and that includes all of the departments. If I didn't mention you, again, thank you for all your hard work. Finance, general services, community development, human resources, city clerk, city treasurer, city attorney, public works, fire, finance, I think I mentioned already, police as always, and council and the community. Thank you to our grocery store workers that are working under very difficult conditions by providing essential goods and services, nurses, doctors, medical professionals, partners I mentioned earlier, mayor and council. PUSD has established a pickup food program for students. That information's already been out there in the public, and we've been partnering with them to share this information. Salvation Army and YMCA have established their own food programs. And sincere thanks to nonprofits and the faith-based organizations for doing their part during this emergency. As we mentioned through this presentation, city operations are continuing. We are picking up trash and recyclables. Granted, we had adjustments last week, but we're back on track. Transit is running our buses. Police and fire are providing essential services. We are operating a farmer's market and we'll be open on Saturday. We welcome the public to please alleviate the pressure on the grocery stores and stop by our market. We are in touch with the county and following their directives and safety protocols, social distancing protocols. We are publishing all of our restaurants that are open. If you know some, let us know. We'll put on our and then we are posting the grocery store hours. And I'll be remiss not to thank our boss, our leader, Mr. Leroy Jackson. Without his leadership and guidance, we could not put this all together. So Leroy, I know he's watching down the hall. Thank you. We appreciate all your guidance and efforts, and we couldn't do it without you. So I had to go on the record with that. And then with that, we opened up for any questions council may have before we ask you to accept and file this report. Thank you. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Shaparian, and thank you, Mr. Jackson. You know, he's one of those unsung heroes who's here all the time, and thanks to all of his knowledge, it made it a little bit easier for the difficult job that everybody in our community had. And I know the tremendous hours that you guys, the people who are members of our executive staff, have put in. And the conferences that we've all had to attend via telephone because of the social distancing and things like that. So it's very impressive that we could get this city to continue to run and continue to run as well as could possibly be under the circumstances. And I certainly appreciate it. I know my colleagues do too. And do any of my colleagues have any questions?
Mayor, before we open up, I was with one department, which I must acknowledge, our transit department, where I personally started almost 20 years ago. So Kim Turner and company, thank you. I was going off memory, so I cannot shout out. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, that's one of the problems. There's an awful lot of moving parts in this city, and one of those moving parts are big green buses that get people from Long Beach to Torrance and on to Los Angeles. The people who are coming here to work, people who are coming here to apply their trades as medical professionals, getting to the hospitals, they need that transportation. And transit has been making sure those buses are clean and safe, and that's the most important thing. And I really appreciate the efforts they've put in as well. How about if I just go down the list alphabetically so that we don't have to step on everybody? Councilmember Chen?
No questions for now, Mayor. Thank you.
Yes, Mayor, you were just muted there, but I see some people typing in the comments to create a stack of questions. My question was for the city manager. I brought to your attention a few days ago a disparity between the way grocery stores are operating. Gave you the example that Trader Joe's, they have a staff member out there helping and creating distancing and providing hand sanitizer and limiting the number of people in the store, whereas a nearby grocery store was complete chaos, no staff member, and people stumbling over other people inside the store. Has that been addressed?
Yes, it has. We're stepping out, approaching grocery stores, recommending the directions they should take. There was an additional order issued by the city manager that talked about social distancing and the requirements within the store for certain guidelines. So both of those have been put into place, and our personnel are reaching out to advise them of the regulations to encourage them for proper approach to this issue.
Okay, thank you. And are there any kind of spot checks or follow-up being done just to make sure that the rules are being adhered to?
We're out there on a regular basis to almost all businesses now, because we're looking to see that businesses are closed, that businesses are operating per guidelines as to food distribution, other elements. So yes, we are out there on a regular basis where we can see these things. We've asked that if there are situations where grocery stores are having problems, that you feed to us, citizens, and let us follow up on it and see if we can assist them in coordinating to the code and to the orders that have been issued.
Great, thank you. And I'd also like to thank you for reopening the farmers market to take some of the strain off the grocery stores and provide some fresh fruit and vegetables to the residents. I know that it took quite a bit of staff time and effort to ensure a smooth operation of that, so appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Griffiths.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to make a couple of comments, no questions really. First, I wanted to thank staff for your heroic efforts in this really challenging time, a time that we've never had to face before. So we don't have a rule book to go by, and we're making up the rule book kind of as we go with guidance from the county and the state and the federal government. So I appreciate all the heroic efforts that staff has put in. I also want to thank all of our residents just for being patient with us and with everyone for this whole situation that we're all facing. It's, again, uncharted territory we're in. I also want to stress, Ron mentioned Torrance alerts. I can't tell you how many comments I've gotten from people asking questions of me, and if they'd been subscribed to Torrance alerts, they'd have the answer. Torrance alerts has been a tremendous asset in helping get information out about this to the public, and I hope all the public subscribes to the Torrance alerts, and I don't think it was mentioned, but it's free. The other nice tool that is out there for everyone to benefit from is our special city website, cityoftorranceca.com, and that's where all the information in detail is posted in relation to all this incident, and all the details are posted there on a regular basis and relinked and coordinated with Torrance alerts. And then another thing that I don't think was touched on at all is important, I think, for our residents, since we do have a Red Cross blood donation center in Torrance on Sepulveda Boulevard. It's my understanding that there's a severe shortage of blood, and the blood donation center, to the last of my knowledge, is open for donations, and if anyone is able to, please take advantage of that opportunity. That's all I have. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Councilmember Hring?
Councilman who? I'm sorry.
No, you were. There you go.
Yes. Am I getting feedback still?
Great, so.
Okay. Thank you all for everything.
Thank you, Councilmember Hring. Councilmember Matucci.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I like to also commend our staff and also our first responders that are out there. I know that it's a lot of work. We've had 2 major incidents in Torrance the last month. I'd like to ask a question, maybe, but I guess it's more of a question. There seems to be a very huge shortage of testing kits. Is the public, is there any kits available for COVID-19 testing at our local hospitals that you're made aware of? And if there's any maybe inside information as to why there's such a nationwide shortage, because I believe some of the countries that have attacked this, I guess, proactively have done a lot more testing and are able to do a lot more, I guess, quarantining of those infected.
Councilman, I think Chief Cerna can respond to that.
Yes, Councilman, when tracking, we don't really have an inside track as to testing kits. I know there have been we've been short nationwide. I do know that one of our supervisors, county supervisors, was able to acquire 20,000 kits that would be or has become available, I believe, starting tomorrow. I also know that our local hospitals also recently were able to acquire 1,000 kits. So the one thing I also want to caution, we're not looking to just test patients that are asymptomatic. For as an example, people want to say, hey, I just want to go over there and get a test just because I'm curious, not curious, but I want to know whether I'm testing positive. The only time you're going to get a test from a medical professional is if you're symptomatic. And that's the only reason why, because there is such a shortage of test kits. Again, to reiterate, I know the LA County Board of Supervisors was able to acquire 20,000 kits that they will make available here in the next day or two. The benefit of the test that they were able to acquire is the testing result time is within 24 hours as to its normal period of 3 to 5 days. And so hopefully that answers your question. But I know that the testing kits are starting to show up in our area.
Thank you, Chief. If I may also ask, I think there's some concern, and I actually concur with this concern from the public, that I know there's a lot of scattered information that's, from different sources, whether it's social media, website. It gets a little confusing. I'd like for us to maybe consolidate. I mean, still use every means possible, but maybe, I'm going to ask. I guess I'm going to ask publicly if the mayor is willing to do maybe a daily address to the city via video that people can maybe look forward to seeing. I think there's a lot of panic and just to put some peace of mind in people's hearts that the city is doing everything we can. So, as an example, 5 p.m. every day, there's going to be a live feed of either the mayor or the city manager to tell people what the daily update is and some new instructions or new numbers and such. Maybe to put some peace of mind in people's households. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Rizzo?
Thank you, Your Honor. Really no questions this time, but I'd just like to just concur with all my colleagues' comments about staff and our employees. The city's taken a couple of tough hits with the cyber attack and then the coronavirus, and they have absolutely stepped up for the community. And I'm proud to be associated with such a group of people. That's all I have to say right now, Your Honor. Thank you.
You're absolutely right. As I said at the outset, our employees have been fantastic. And I forgot to reach out to and thank the citizens of our great community, because a lot of them have been contacting us individually, collectively, and the city at large with suggestions. And, aside from the complaints, we hear that often. And as Councilmember Griffith said, if everybody was on Torrance alerts, they'd probably be a lot more knowledgeable of what's happening in our city. I know we pushed out a message that we were doing Torrance alerts at 4 o'clock, and it seems like we're doing them at 10 o'clock in the morning and 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and sometimes 8 o'clock at night whenever the time arises with news. What we will do what absolutely is necessary to get the word out. It's unfortunate that the local media gleans onto the bigger picture. Right now it's New York City. It was Kirkland, Washington, but every burg in between there is confronting COVID-19 at the present time. I've had a number of conversations Councilmember Matucci raised about the testing. And as the chief said, the testing is not a necessary thing. It's actually giving some false readings to some people. They think we have 5 reported cases in Torrance. Well, the medical professionals will tell you that there's perhaps a couple thousand actual cases of COVID-19 right now in our city. And that's one of the reasons we have to have our social distancing. It is so very, very important. We don't know who has it. If they're not symptomatic and they're just asymptomatic, we read what happened or we heard what happened at the Trump Golf Course, where the former mayor of Rancho Palos Verdes was having a party just less than 2 weeks ago. And as a result of that, 15 people, including, well, fortunately, our supervisor has not tested as positive on that, but 15 people have tested positive for COVID-19, just at one party that got together up there. So, and I don't know where those numbers are getting reported at, because we know where it happened at. So, you know, I think we have to keep getting the word out and expressing to people how dangerous this virus is. It is a pandemic, and they don't use that word lightly. This is a life and death situation where we have to self-isolate as much as possible and do the social distancing, maintain hygienic, wash your hands quite often, use the antibacterial soap, spray yourself down so you don't carry it. This is a horrible, horrible, horrible virus pandemic that's across the entire nation. And only if we act responsibly ourselves will this diminish. So at this time, I think we should take a motion to accept and file the report of the city manager, fire, and police department.
Motion to accept and file.
I second. That's Councilman Chen.
Councilmember Chen?
Yes, I second.
Yes, I'm now calling the roll for the vote.
Yes.
Thank you.
Councilmember Goodrich?
Aye.
Councilmember Griffiths?
Yes.
Councilmember Herring? Councilmember Herring?
Yes.
Councilmember Matucci?
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzo?
Yes.
Mayor Fury?
Yes.
That motion carries
Well,
unanimously.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is item 9D from the city manager is also, and that's the ratification and extensions of the public order. From staff?
Yes, Your Honor, this is the extension of our order and confirmation of the orders that I've taken in behalf of the city in the last several weeks. The city attorney can walk you through the details and the requirement for you to approve this. It extends the emergency for a period of time again.
So this order, this is Patrick Sullivan, city attorney. This order, as Leroy said, is the first order that was issued after the declaration of emergency. This order, although it was unnumbered at the time, is now referred to as Public Order 2020-1. This is the one that closes the bars and nightclubs that didn't serve food, allows the bars and restaurants to have takeout or delivery or drive-through. It closed all the movie theaters, live performances, all those things, and closed the gyms and fitness centers. Just remember, this one was done prior to the Safer at Home order by the county and the stay-at-home order by the state. That was done last week on the 19th, and then the county updated their Safer at Home over the weekend on the 21st to ban all gatherings, not just gatherings over 10. The original order actually had a conflict in the dates. At one point it had said it was going through March 31st, and the other one it was going through until rescinded by the city manager or the city council. This new one, if the council chooses to do it, would extend it until rescinded by the council or the city manager. It also includes the suspension of the discontinuation or shut off of water services for residents and businesses in the city for non-payment. It also suspends imposition of late payment fees for delinquent water or sewer bills, and the imposition of late payment penalties or fees for parking violations. And then finally, it also addresses the temporary moratorium on the eviction for non-payment of rent by or mortgages by residential and commercial tenants and occupants that have been impacted by the COVID-19 crisis. I'm available for any questions.
Are there any questions for our city attorney?
Yes, Mayor. This is Councilman Matucci.
Matucci.
Thank you. This is for our city attorney. Is there a way that we can put a date, let's say end of May, as a sunset date, in the event that things get worse and we're not able to meet for whatever reason? And not that, that it would make a difference if we can't meet, but just to not make it indefinite. I just never really liked indefinite, open-ended things like this.
Sure. If the council would like to put a date on it, we would just modify the section 2 of the resolution, and then you would put a sunset date in there. The date earlier mentioned, May 31st, was the date that the executive order of the governor included as a date for that would be through for the evictions process. So if that's a date the council wanted to use, that would match up with the governor's executive order.
Yeah, I would like to suggest that we match up with the governor's timeline, and we could always extend it if need be, right?
That is correct.
So if we take no action after we take action tonight, and let's say hypothetically we choose to go May 31st, we don't need any further action to discontinue it, right?
Correct. If you put in a date, if it's not extended, it would sunset on that date and be no longer effective after that date. The council, just to segue into something that Leroy had mentioned earlier, the council will in mid-April have to extend the state of emergency if it chooses to do so, but that's a separate action than we're doing here tonight.
Okay. I'll look forward to hearing other people's arguments, but I would like to see May 31st, in my opinion, to match up with the governor's timeline. Thank you.
Anybody else? I see no hands are rising. And one of the other things, Mr. Sullivan and Mr. Jackson, I know this is a really fluid situation, and after we did the declaration of emergency, another number of things came to our attention, and we had to add them in, so as to speak. Is that covered with a resolution that we have today?
No, this one just covers that first order. The other orders and administrative actions that the city manager has taken will be brought back at another council meeting where you'll ratify those orders as well. But this one is just for the one described on April 16th.
Yeah, and because I think the state, the county, as well as our city want to be exactly on the same page on everything. And we've seen some, and we can be more restrictive. I think the governor's order said that we could do that. But we want to at least maintain the same restrictions as the state of California. That way we're, I think we send a united picture to the community as well as the business community that we are all in this together up and down the coast of California.
Yes, any of the action the council wants to take, as long as it is stricter than either the governor's order or the LA County Health Department's order, the city can take. And it's your choice whether to make them coincide with the dates of the governor's order.
Okay, thank you very much. If there's no other questions, then I'll take a motion to adopt ordinance number 3866. I'm sorry, I went ahead of myself. This is a motion to concur with staff recommendation.
Yeah, that'll work, and then the clerk will later read the number and title.
Yeah.
I move to, this is Councilman Matucci, I move to adopt resolution as with the time frame to match with the state's guidelines.
I second Councilman Chen.
Okay, and just for the record, so that will change section 2, which is on page 3 of the resolution, from extended until rescinded by the city council, city manager and city council, to applies citywide and is extended until May 31st, 2020.
Correct.
Okay. We have a motion and second. Want to do a roll call?
Yes. Councilmember Chen?
Yes.
Councilmember Goodrich?
Yes.
Councilmember Griffiths?
Yes.
Councilmember Herring?
Yes.
Councilmember Matucci?
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzo?
Yes.
Mayor Fury?
Yes. May we have a number and title, please?
Yes, Your Honor, this is resolution number 2020-14, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Torrance, California, ratifying and extending the public order, now referred to as Public Order number 2020-1, closing all movie theaters, live performance venues, bowling alleys, arcades, gyms, and fitness centers, bars and nightclubs that do not serve food, and prohibiting all restaurants from serving food for consumption on premises as amended.
Move to adopt resolution number 2020-14.
I second, Councilman Chen.
Roll call vote, Councilmember Chen?
Yes.
Councilmember Goodrich?
Aye.
Councilmember Griffiths?
Yes.
Councilmember Herring?
Yes.
Councilmember Matucci?
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzo?
Yes.
Mayor Fury?
Yes.
That motion carried unanimously, Your Honor.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is item 12A, which is a second and final reading of ordinance number 3866, amending Division 9 of the Torrance Municipal Code to reclassify certain property in the city of Torrance located at 2751 Sky Park Drive from Planned Development District to M1 Light Manufacturing District. Do you have a number and title?
Yes, Your Honor. This is ordinance number 3866, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Torrance, California, amending Division 9 of the Torrance Municipal Code to reclassify certain property in the City of Torrance located at 2751 Sky Park Drive, APN 7377-009-019 from P-D Planned Development District to M-1 Light Manufacturing District.
Do I have a motion?
Move to adopt ordinance number 3866.
I second, Councilman Chen.
Roll call vote, Councilmember Chen?
Yes.
Councilmember Goodrich?
Aye.
Councilmember Griffiths?
Yes.
Councilmember Herring?
Yes.
Councilmember Matucci?
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzo?
Yes.
Mayor Fury?
Yes.
Your Honor, that motion carried unanimously.
Okay, this takes us to oral communications number 2. I'm going to do a 30-minute period of time. Do we have any people who have called in?
Okay, yet, do we have any callers?
This is Katie Wan, City Manager's Office. I do not have any callers.
This is Viet Huang, City Manager's Office. I do not have any callers.
Okay, if we do not have any callers, then we can take it up here. Councilmember Matucci.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The elections are over, and it looks like we have a lot of things on our plate, but I do want to congratulate everyone that put their name on the ballot. It's a lot of work, and getting involved with both local government, state, and federal government is something that requires a lot of dedication. So I commend anybody and everybody that runs for public office. I just wanted to say thank you to everybody. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Councilmember Rizzo.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just want to reiterate my comments earlier about how honored I am to have such a great group of city employees, all the way from city manager's office all the way down to our first responders. I mean, they really stepped up for the community. But also, just a quick comments for the community. Again, just remain calm. You know, follow the rules, practice social distancing, stay at home. And if you do have to go out and, as my wife and I like to say, we like to go out and forage daily for whatever supplies we need for the house, purchase responsibly. You don't need to go in and start hoarding things. Purchase what you need and make sure that there's enough for everybody in the community, and be respectful and be helpful and kind to our fellow citizens. And I've seen a lot of it in the community now. Again, I'm honored to work with such a great group of employees, but I'm proud to be a citizen here in the city of Torrance. We are in fact coming together as a community, and I can see it every day as I go out to take care of my family needs. So in that regard, folks, just let's stay calm, let's look after each other, and we'll get through this together. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. And of course, I lost my, Councilmember Chen.
Thank you, Mayor. What I'd like to say is I too want to thank the entire city staff fighting two major crises with the cyber attack and with the COVID-19. And I really appreciate everyone standing up. These two crises are probably the crisis of the 21st century. And it may not be the first time we have this type of problem, but I'm sure that we'll have learned and hardened our systems and to be even in a better position to prevent these kind of situations in the future. For my fellow residents, continue to be vigilant with the guidelines that's given, practice social distancing, be kind to each other, and stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Goodrich.
Yes, I'd just like to applaud the members of the community that have come through and maintained their social distancing and done the things necessary and things that are being asked of them. Of course, there's always a few that could use improvement, and just like to remind people the sooner that we can tighten things up, and that means the sooner that we can get over this ultimately. So it's in our best interest to practice all the advice that's being given so far. And I saw a kind of comical meme on Facebook going around and said our grandparents were sent off to war. We're just being asked to sit at home and watch Netflix. So ultimately, in the broader perspective, what we're being asked to do is pretty minimal. So I think it helps to have that perspective as we get through this. But I know we're going to get through it together and come out stronger for it. That's all.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Griffin.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, I want to just reiterate my comments earlier, thanking staff for their heroic efforts. I want to thank the public for being patient, for being reasonably in control. There isn't any reason to panic. There's no shortages of anything. Please don't act irresponsibly, as has been said before. We can all get through this together if we all cooperate. And also wanted to just remind people to support our local businesses that do remain open, especially our restaurants. Those are some of our most vulnerable businesses, and we'd like to make sure that they're there when we come out of this. So support them through delivery or takeout, and please try to at least once a day, if possible, to do one meal at one of our local restaurants if you have the means to do so, and support our businesses. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilmember Herring.
Thank you, Mayor. Just not to be redundant, all that's been said, and I got this reverb going. So thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. We're going to have to fix that audio before we do this again. Being the last one, I wanted to let everybody know you should reach out to your friends. Especially this time when they may be home and maybe they're by themselves. Maybe they're a little older. Maybe they need somebody to run a little chore or an errand for them. Just make that phone call. Send a text message. Turn off the major news channels and actually sign up for Torrance Alerts. It is a free service, and it has been fantastic to provide information to our community. Everybody who has Torrance alerts knows what's happening and knows what they can do. It's firsthand information. You can read it in a couple days in one of the newspapers, but you'll find out today, and Mr. Shaparian is getting really good sending these out because, like I said, you get them at least twice a day and sometimes 3 or 4 times a day, just about the COVID virus epidemic or pandemic. But all year long, there's great information coming through there about emergency situation and non-emergency situation to keep you safe, to keep you moving to where you're going. So from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank all of our employees for all the difficult job they've done and working on other duties as assigned, as we like to say, something they never thought they were ever going to do when they were coming up through the ranks into working in city government, but they do it, and they do it with charm and aplomb and a great attitude. And they're wiping the every piece of furniture in my office. I think we're going to have to get it refinished after we get through this. And Councilmember Chen mentioned that, back-to-back issues. We were hit really hard with our website crashing. And then right after that, the coronavirus pandemic. And the other one is our economic anomaly. We, and I'm saying the city of Torrance, as well as the county of Los Angeles, the state of California, the United States of America, and the whole world is being attacked economically right now. So have some patience. And for those who are having a hard time because of the money issues, there's lots of different sites on our website where you can look for the EDD, the Development Department, where you can sign up for workers' comp. If you're out because you're caring for somebody else, could be a disability pay. And then right now we're waiting for the stimulus package from the federal government. Perhaps they'll get it done today or tomorrow, and eventually get it out to the people who really need it, the people who are walking the streets, the people who live in our homes, the people maybe losing their jobs or at least not being able to work. So with that, I wish you all the very, very best. Make sure you stay in touch with us as well as the city, as well as your friends and neighbors and family. Mr. Jackson, is there anything?
Oh, yes, Your Honor.
I know you
I appreciate all the comments on our city staff. They have been working hard and involved, but I have to extend to you and your fellow council members. This has been one of the more challenging processes of pulling together the meeting tonight. We thank the staff that's been involved in it, but the council's patience, their learning of new ideas and concepts, their participation fully in the effort to bring the council online is deeply appreciated. And I think it's appreciated by the community that you are here, you're present, and you're making an effort to communicate with them as well. We thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. The people's business has to go forward. With that, I will take a motion to adjourn. Does anybody have the information? I will do it.
Yes, sir. Councilman Tucci.
Oh, go ahead.
I move that we adjourn the city council meeting to Tuesday, April 7th, 2020, for the regular meeting commencing at 7 p.m. in the council chamber. Also, as a reminder that Tuesday, March 31st, 2020 is a council dark night.
And there's always the possibility that the city council may be called into an emergency session if required. In the interim, we will certainly give the adequate notice under the Brown Act to the community.
I'll second the adjournment motion.
Roll call, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Councilmember Chen?
Yes.
Councilmember Goodrich?
Aye.
Councilmember Griffith?
Yes.
Councilmember Herring?
Yes.
Councilmember Matucci?
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzo?
Yes.
Mayor Fury?
Yes.
That motion carried unanimously, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Good night, everybody, and God bless you all. We'll see you soon.